Hello out there, listeners. You just found the #1 financial literacy podcast in the world. Sponsored by nobody, but for everybody.
Right. Welcome back to the show, everybody.
This week's show, we're going to cover a lot in the banking sector because there wasn't a whole lot of sexy news this week. Is it just me?
Not a lot.
Not a lot. There wasn't, there wasn't something that was just like, I want to marry you. It was all like,
Right. Yeah.
I'll talk about you for a little bit.
I'll date you.
I'll get over it.
Right.
Yeah. Well, on that end, we're going to talk about how much in emergency savings you should probably plan to have. An article which I fundamentally disagree with on a number of accounts, but you'll hear more about that later. Some recent developments with PacWest. One is recent as tonight, and today is Tuesday the 23rd for reference.
Odin liked that you did that right there.
Yes, he did. See, I'm catering to his whims and desires as much as my own.
Non-villain.
You should try that sometimes.
Yeah, I'll try.
Villain. We'll talk about regional banks and how they rallied this last week and up to today as well. So we've seen some positive trends there. And just when you think we were in a good place and position, the Fed Chair Powell says rates may not have to rise as much as expected.
Totally flip-flopping.
Yeah.
He said,
man.
We'll get into it.
Yeah. Could you just be consistent, Powell? Like, help me help you, bro.
Yeah.
And then we're going to talk about how the Fed increases have now hit small businesses the hardest, which we predicted long ago. So this is one of those things we're going to toot the hell of our own horn.
Mm-hmm.
Toot.
You like to toot your own horn?
Love to toot my own horn as much as I can.
All the horns.
Amy Dimon's going to give us a quote, and then we'll end with a little bit of a private equity talk. Where the equity is not so private at the end of the day.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it goes to everybody else but you. That's what we like to call foreshadowing in the business, kids.
A little foreshadowing.
Shall we open it up with CNBC?
Let's do it.
So here I am, scrolling through my feed on Instagram. And I see this little piggy bank sitting on some $100 bills and a little quote that says, here's how much emergency savings you need amid economic uncertainty, according to financial advisors. Ooh.
Man, I hope you're not getting your emergency savings account information from a CNBC Instagram post.
I find that highly offensive.
No, why?
I think social media is the educational platform of the future.
Digestible?
One day, children of all ages will walk into school and they will hand them a tablet and say, scroll through Instagram. You'll be smarter when you leave, kids.
Yeah, you think so?
No, I do not think so.
I hope not.
It's clickbaity, and the resulting article, I will give you 2 paragraphs of it here in a second, is just as cringe as the title. It's sad, and it's also cringeworthy because this is the lowest possible bar we're setting for people, but
Right.
Let's get into it. An emergency fund is a key piece of your financial plan. Is it?
I would hope so.
Especially amid economic uncertainty. The uncertainty we've talked about to you about on this show for the last, year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You still feeling uncertain about the economy side?
Big time.
I'll tell you right now, I will share with you some commentary from some peers in the space without naming them, and I was getting livid.
Oh, that's right. We got to get into it. You recently had a nice trip to New York.
I was in New York this morning.
Yeah.
And then I go to Honolulu tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's a busy couple days.
Even though, all this economic uncertainty, I got some numbers later on in the show based on the Atlanta Fed GDP now.
Ticking up?
Yeah, man. GDP's still positive. What the fuck's going on?
I'll tell you, and I think I got some good theories as to why. Not some of which are not my own.
Okay.
But the right amount of cash depends on your household and occupation, according to financial experts. Really? That's what financial experts have to say?
Mm-hmm.
I am stuck on stupid today. I've had very little sleep. So the stuttering, normally my fault for being a moron. Today it's just lack of sleep.
Yeah.
Okay? So we'll just full disclosure.
Still your fault.
Most Americans aren't prepared for a financial emergency, according to a recent CNBC/MoneyWise survey of more than 4,000 U.S. adults. More than half of Americans don't have an emergency fund, and 40% of those who have less than $10,000, the findings show, have less than $10,000. See how much emergency savings you need among economic uncertainty, according to financial experts.
Based on some of the other articles that we've said, I would have thought that number would have been higher.
The number of Americans that don't have 10% in savings?
No, don't have
10,000.
10,000.
10,000. See, I'm just off,
Stuck
dude.
on stupid.
It's not going to be a good show for my intellect.
Especially because Chris decided to have some Pizza Hut chicken nuggets before the show.
It said
and said I'm doing this because I need protein.
I was hungry, man. I've been.
You could have said I was hungry. I would have let you go with that.
You want the truth? I ate a whole bag of chicharrones on the way here too.
Chicharrones.
I was in the house. I just grabbed a bag of something. I just needed calories.
But that's what a reasonable person eats before going to Hawaii. Obviously, to look shredded. That's what you're trying to do. That helps you lean out.
I'm not gonna make an Islander comment. Okay, I'm not gonna do that. I know you're baiting me. I'm not doing that.
That's not what I was baiting you with. Your mind took you there.
No, chicharrones are very popular in Hawaii.
Okay. That's why you chose to eat them?
No, but you brought them.
You were accepting.
Those are in my house, man. My wife loves them.
Accepting of the culture.
You know what? No.
Okay.
I'm not doing it with you. Here's the way I look at savings. Okay, I disagree fundamentally with this article, and I recognize that most people across the country struggle to get themselves into a position where they've saved and put aside money just for this in an account that they're not going to touch, because most people have more of an immediate need for those funds. Keep in mind, we have the highest ever non-household debt, credit card spending, car spending.
Everything.
It's high.
$17 trillion.
$17 trillion. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, we should all aim to have 6 months of all of our living expenses in an account for a worst-case event scenario that you can't work.
Even though your mortgage lenders are only going to require you to show proof of 2 months, that's just because they want to pass some regulatory standards. You should aim for 6.
Well, generally speaking, most lenders have a 6 months PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance in reserve liquidity. So post-close.
You would hope, yeah.
So if you close a loan and your mortgage payment is made up of your principal payment, your interest payment, your taxes payment, and your insurance payment.
Taxes for the property.
Yes, your real estate property taxes. So principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, PITI. And in some cases, if you have a homeowners association, your HOA,
yes,
they're going to aggregate that monthly expense, multiply it times 6, and that's how much most lenders traditionally want to see that you have in post-close liquidity.
But they could
after
fund
you
it.
put your down payment down, you have that much left at least.
Yeah, but I remember the first property that I bought, they only required me to have 2.
2 months?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Keep in mind that
your boy was rolling the dice back then.
Yeah, and imagine how nervous you were when you bought it. When you bought it, I guarantee you the first thing you thought was, shit.
Yeah, honey, no upgrades. Some of these bedrooms are going to remain empty for a little while. Yeah.
Me too. I slept on an air mattress.
Yeah.
For a long time. I had shutters in the front of the house before I put shutters in the back of the house. I used to wake up every morning to do a sunburn.
Right.
It was just the way it was for years when you buy your first property. Now, I want to contrast that lender requirement with what I think should be everyone's reserve requirement. 6 months of all your living expenses, granted your principal, interest, tax, and insurance, or your rent should be the highest portion of what you spend every single month. But if you have credit card payments, if you have auto payments, whatever you're putting out consistently every single month, if you have child care payments, aggregate whatever that all-out monthly expense is and multiply it times 6. That's what we should all strive to have in savings in an account we don't touch. That's a rainy day fund.
I know it's a hard pill to swallow if this is a goal you're now going to start trying to tackle, especially during times like this when inflation is where it is, and maybe, if some people may have lost their jobs, but this should be a goal that you have for yourself and your family moving forward.
Yeah, certainly. Look, I don't think that any time's a bad time to start doing this, especially if you're in a position right now where you can save.
Right.
Now would be the time. That isn't for most Americans. That isn't for most people, and I recognize that's not easy. But if you can, and you're in a non-impacted sector right now, then you know what? Then you should be aiming for this target.
Right.
So now I will say that once you get to a certain lifestyle point, if you want to have money in securities and consider that as part of your savings, fine, all well and good. You have that money in investable assets. But I recognize whenever you do sell those, there's some time that it takes to liquidate those. So for most of us, having that in cash, and Arun just pulled up an article, and the title of the article is "Something is Better Than Nothing" is one of the quotes here. And I totally agree with that. Don't think you can save enough. Don't panic. You can build it up by stashing away smaller amounts on a regular basis, like every week or every paycheck.
Yeah.
If you keep it up over time, you'll eventually meet your goal. The important thing is that you started saving something. And I totally agree with that, right? You got to start somewhere.
Right. And a tactic that my wife and I actually started to use when we first got married was just to get the ball rolling was we treated a transfer into our savings account like we would any other monthly expense. Every month when, paycheck would come in, we would just send it a certain amount right over to the savings account as if it was a payment,
Mm-hmm.
and just started treating it that way. And then before you know it, 6 months later, you're like, oh, wow, we've actually stored away a good amount of cash.
I still do that to this day with my son's fund. I think it's $500 a month that we roll into that thing,
Nice.
in addition to whatever I put in at the end of the year every single year,
Oh, okay.
which is usually substantial. But we try to aim for just consistent growth, not only in his investments, but also as we're putting money in every month.
Yeah.
And so it all kind of multiplies up
Yeah.
to the extent that we can.
Yeah, we do it monthly as well.
But you know what I used that's actually surprisingly worked well for me is an Acorns account.
I remember you were one of the first people to start this back in the day.
Yeah, I love the concept of it. I thought it was brilliant.
The concept was genius. So explain to people what it was.
So Acorns is actually a company in our backyard, and they've been featured all over CNBC. And I don't really know the nexus between them and CNBC, but they've gotten a lot of press from them. But effectively, what it does is they round up all of your spending. So you attach
Yeah.
like your credit card or your debit card. I have both of mine attached.
Yeah.
Anytime I spend something, let's say I go out and I buy like dinner, and it's $14.85.
Yeah.
It'll take that entire charge up to $15 and take that extra 15 cents, that round up difference, and put that into a savings account.
I was on the edge of my seat, man. I didn't know if you were going to be able to do that math.
Do the math, yeah.
Yeah, 15 cents.
I know. I had to.
Like,
I had to really.
Come on.
I'm not gonna lie, man. I've had some serious brain fog. I was telling my wife this morning when I got back. So when I got back I left New York at 6 a.m. their time, 3 a.m. our time.
Yeah.
Flew back, landed in Orange County at 8:30 a.m. our time. Drove from Orange County, London, LAX. Drove to Orange County, about another 45 minutes or so, about an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Got to see my wife at like 9:45 ish, right? And I was telling her like, look, there was a period of my life where I could function off like 2-3 hours sleep a night
I know.
and be good.
Yeah.
And I'm at the point now where if I don't get like 5 or 6, I will feel hazy, and I feel very much hazy right now.
The fact that you can still function on 5 or 6. I remember I used to tell Odun all the time back in the day, like, I felt like I functioned better off like 4 to 5 hours back in the day. Now, if I get 5 hours of sleep, forget about it.
It's just weird. It feels very like tactilely different. Like it's just everything feels like muted. It's very weird.
And then ever since I started listening to Mind Pump too, I start to pay attention to all the other things that happen throughout my day when I only get like 4 to 5 hours of sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Eating habits, the worst.
Yeah, I just had a bag of chicharrones and some chicken strips.
Just like whatever. Just give me something.
I just needed something in because I'm using it as fuel, like just to keep me going. Because mentally, I am stuck on stupid.
It's okay.
Kind of like the Fed.
Yeah. Oh, the Fed. You want to get into the Fed right now? Or you want to get into Pac West?
I feel like the Fed's a good segue into Pac West a little bit because we can talk about what the Fed Chair Powell wants to say. So let's do this. Fed Chair Powell, according to CNBC, says rates may not have to rise as much as expected to curb inflation.
Right.
Now, granted, the man who's been at least optically very sincere in that we have to look at the data and wait to have a pivot like that about him in the news suggests a very different Fed secretary perspective that I think would make the market very happy.
Right.
Cites 2 key points from the article. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell said Friday that the stresses in the banking sector could mean that our policy rate may not need to rise as much, keywords, as much, as it would have otherwise to achieve our goals. Now, hold on, that didn't mean we're not going to increase rates.
Wait, but hold on. Let's also take a look at this. Let's see. The stresses in the banking sector could mean, okay, he's recognizing the stress in the banking sector. Hold on. I thought this shit was sound and resilient.
Sound and resilient. His last words.
What's going on?
The banking sector is sound and resilient. We do not expect there to be additional impacts to banking.
I didn't know he was cousins with our boy, Dave Ramsey.
Well, when you say stupid shit, you know.
Yeah, they're a kid.
There could be a nexus.
Yeah,
there.
Exactly.
On balance, which is, I hate that.
On
that
balance.
expression.
Yeah.
On balance, Powell said inflation is still too high and pledged the Fed would stay steadfast in its goal to reduce prices.
Yep.
He's coming for your commissions, realtors.
He's coming. Yeah. Why doesn't he like them? Why? What's wrong?
Why do you hate real estate, Powell?
Right.
So this is kind of the backdrop. There's been a very dynamic discord, I think, in the news. So news cycle 1 is, hey, oh my God, the debt ceiling. What are we going to do? Oh, no. Even though it's a non-event. I mean, every time someone asks me, they get so frustrated that my answer is, who cares? And they're like, "How? What do you? Rates could go to 8.5%." No, it's not. 78 of the last 78 times they raised the debt ceiling.
Right.
This will only be political fodder for people to bargain for what they want. Republican, Democrat, Libertarian. I don't care what you are. It's just a negotiation tactic. They're gonna pass a debt ceiling raise the 79th time this time, and all of this will be fodder for something else to be front and center in the news when this is all done.
The debts, they should be more concerned with where we are in the debt ceiling, other than like, will they or will they not pass it? No, they're gonna pass it again, but where this is gonna take us to, we're gonna reach another new level in a couple months or a couple years.
100%, or as the kids say, 100p, dog. Arun quoted the article, "Many people are currently experiencing high inflation for the first time in their lives." That's Powell quoting me on the show. He listens.
He has to.
He knows.
He knows what's up.
14 years of artificial, interest rate deflation.
Yeah.
Many of these entrepreneurs are experiencing it for the first time. They don't know what the hell's going on.
Demand without affordability.
They think you're playing, JP.
Yeah, JP from the hood.
Yeah, high key, bro.
JP from the hood.
Bars. It's not a headline to say that they really don't like it.
Yeah.
He said during a forum that also featured former Fed Chairman Ben Bernanke, a.k.a. BB, the original Ben Baller.
I mean, JP. I mean, he also goes by Daddy to Jerome Powell.
Yeah,
Jerome Powell calls him Daddy.
Hey, son. I can see that happening.
You know, Powell's looking at him too, like, man, he's like, "Hey, you fucked me with that 2% target mark. Yeah, you fucked me. All right, that's what he's thinking about."
And Ben goes, "But you liked it." So let's talk about the banking sector for a brief moment. Arun, and for those of you listening, while you're driving, you're like, why is Chris being so like pointed with his comments? Because we clearly went off topic with the direction, and Arun's trying to shift around articles right now. Going,
yeah, exactly.
What in the actual shit?
Yeah.
So let's go back over to PacWest.
Poor guy too. He tried to confirm beforehand. Like, so this is
up.
the right order, right, guys?
No, bitch. It's the order I say when we're live.
Yeah.
Okay. So PacWest sells $2.6 billion in real estate loans at a discount. Kennedy Wilson to buy the portfolio of 74 loans, assumes funding of existing loans as well. PacWest is seeking to boost liquidity on regional bank turmoil. So in response to this sector, which Powell was once quoted as saying was sound and resilient, PacWest is now doing some things to clear the decks and to make room for more liquidity.
Right. Remember, so if Just as a refresher, PacWest was being viewed as the next domino to fall. That them and Western Alliance, after the collapse of First Republic, Signature Bank, Silicon Valley Bank, right? So everyone was assuming that PacWest was going to be the next one to fall.
So before you go there, I went down the rabbit hole. I was on a plane for hours and couldn't sleep. And you give me a bunch of caffeine. I'm on a plane. I just sit there and go down.
Really? Caffeine still affects you? I feel like it doesn't affect you anymore.
It doesn't, but it's just I don't really sleep well in public places because I'm always afraid you're going to show up and put something in my ear, and it's not going to be your fingers.
Hey, you don't have to worry about your ear, my friend.
Yeah, that's exactly why I don't like. One of these days, I'm going to mess around. I'm going to wake up on a plane, and you're going to be there in a very precarious position. We're both going to go to jail.
That's fine.
I'm going to have to say, I know him, but I don't know him, and then there's all this record out there. I've got nightmares, bro.
Right.
They're real.
I mean,
they're visceral.
At least you're smart.
So I started looking at the trading activity of the trading volume. And for those of you who don't do this, I always think it's a good idea to look at two things when you're looking at a stock price if you're just kind of scanning.
Oh, this is good.
Number one, look at the stock price relative to its day change and then whatever investment horizon you want to look at it as. Right now, I'm looking at bank stocks on a day percentage basis. So if a stock like PacWest is trading up 10%, I don't really care about the dollar amount that it's going up or down. I only care about its percentage relative to its peers.
Right.
How much is PacWest trading percentage-wise above its peers that day?
Right.
Today, just an example while I'm burping mid-sentence, they had a 7.74% rise, but I know, having watched the stock today, they were up as much as 12 or 13% midday.
Yeah, and they've also been up 45% over the last 5 days.
So a progressive trend. So the market is responding very well to the strategic actions that they are taking, despite the fact that the Fed secretary may or may not be softening on his position.
Besides the fact that they took a $200 million haircut on this deal.
They sold the loans for $2.4 million, which was
$2.4 billion.
billion. Whew.
A little Big difference there.
Little typo. But, yeah, $2.4 billion, took a $200 million haircut, which they're going to have to recognize when they report for this quarter.
Right.
And it was bought by this Kennedy Wilson holding company, which purchased the group. It was only 74 loans, which is interesting.
Right.
So, but this will increase their cash position, which they have had some pretty significant liquidity withdrawals for the bank run fear, which leads me to the second point. Whenever I look at a stock, particularly a bank sector stock, is I want to look at their trading volume relative to their peers.
There you go.
So the trading volume of this bank today was over 60 million shares.
Can you go back to that, Odin?
Go back to PacWest trading information that you pulled up.
Please.
So by comparison to its peers, and I looked at Western Alliance and several other banks today, they didn't trade. So let's see here. The trading volume is not on this.
Yeah, here I got it on my app.
Yeah, you'll figure it out. Just comparing PacWest. There you go. So the volume today, 66,034,000 shares. Average volume 29 million. So they were more than double their average volume. Their average volume is only that high because they've been in the news. And the reason why I bring this up is I want to highlight how impactful social media and traditional media and having your name in the news is. If you look at similarly situated regional banks, they typically trade about 1 million or less shares in volume a day.
Wow.
So 29 times now that on their average volume and 66 times that on the volume today. Now, they traded up, but that's how impactful having your name out there can be.
Right, and this does also, one thing to also note is apparently there's a lot of people out there still shorting these banks.
The number one shorted stock in the month of April was PacWest.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got this right here. Over the past week, traders added $2.1 billion in short positions in regional banks, and so far they've suffered a $1.1 billion in paper loss.
So can we have a little sidebar, a little intimate, sexy session of some things that I may have heard while I was in New York that I think are relevant here?
Okay. Please.
Say please again.
Finally. I've been trying to get this out of you all night.
You know, I find that you crave it more whenever I don't give it to you right away.
Okay.
Does that make you feel any type of way?
No. Please.
That was an awkward
As
pause.
his face turns red.
Yeah, you look very red. Your
Nope.
sweater and your face is the same color right now.
I'm trying to clean up the show. Until we get some sponsors, Chris will not be cleaning up the show.
So in talking to investors and other friends in the city, one of the questions I kept asking people is, I don't understand the banking sector right now. Why are people trading the way they're trading?
Right.
And I pointed out similarly situated banks. And the resounding theme I heard by really educated traders was interesting. It wasn't a take that I had thought of, but it makes a whole ton of sense.
Okay.
So if you're an institutional investor, a big company, Fidelity, whoever it is, right? And you're buying stocks right now, why would you buy a bank stock? If you think the probability of a recessionary economy is real, and you think that banks are going to be impacted, and then there'll be a great buying opportunity, you want to buy at the low point. And right now, until the Fed effectively stops increasing interest rates, you're not necessarily positive you're at a low point. Now, a bank could trade at a percentage of their tangible book value, and a lot of them are trading below their tangible book value.
That's what I was going to say. You say, why would they buy, some bank stock right now? Is I don't think that, these stock prices that we're seeing are their true tangible book values. So if you believe that, there's going to be a pause in rate hikes moving forward, why would you, your belief is irrelevant.
Right. Why would you do anything before they actually do it?
Because then you would be theoretically getting on a low point. Like, let's say, for instance,
no.
PacWest has gone up 45% in the last 5 days.
45% of $5 is not a lot of money.
No, I get it. But I'm just saying, if you think that they'll continue to go up.
Which, fine. But keep in mind, too, that a lot of these institutional investors already had bank stocks.
Right.
And those particular portfolios that they invested in have already gotten hammered, which brings me to another type of investors that are out there, people who specialize in bank sector stocks, and that's all they buy, banks and real estate-related sectors. You've been crushed by the stock market lately. So you're out. You're not going to buy because your investments are all down. You're going to wait for them to go back up, right? If you're institutional, you're going to wait and see a little more evidence and see where things go.
Right.
So what you're going to do is you're going to buy places in longer-term investments, and you're going to offset that risk with shorts.
Oh.
And you're going to short the one sector that you feel is probably the most at risk right now until that certainty of the Fed's actions creep over happens.
Right.
And that's the banking sector.
Absolutely.
And for right now, unfortunately, the media and generally the atmosphere has pointed that directly at PacWest, which is it fair? No. Is it justified? Probably not, but they are where they are. Their trading volume is what it is, and they are clearly under the focus with that degree of scrutiny, and it's not going to be easy for them. But I look at all this to say I don't think any of it stops until the Fed pauses interest rate increases, and I'm not sure they're there yet. I want them to be,
right,
but I'm not sure they are.
So the company that bought this portfolio from PacWest, it was 74 commercial loans, and they're also publicly traded. They're based out of Beverly Hills. They're
so hard.
I know they have their focus. So they're Kennedy Wilson Holdings. Have you heard of them before? Their focus is on multifamily and office properties.
Yep. Located
in Western U.S., the U.K., and Ireland. Very odd, but they currently have $23 billion in assets under management. The loans that they had purchased, they're also going to assume all future funding obligations of about $2.7 billion. So what does that mean exactly of the loans that they bought?
They had unfunded commitments, so they may have been construction loans that had additional funding that are needed. They may have been bridge lending, which they did a little bit of as well, where they're basically taking a property and taking down portions of it at a time to rebuild it, improve it, and then re-rent it out at higher rates.
So they think that they can offset their risk by just taking a $200 million haircut?
You know how before the show started, you said, Chris, let's talk a little bit about private equity on this show, because I think people would like to know why private equity is fucking the market a little bit right now.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to do.
And well, this is kind of what that is.
Really?
A little bit. So when you think about private equity, I want you to think about it in the context of people are taking money, usually in the form of an LP, a limited partnership. You can call it angel investing, venture capital. It's all private equity. It's all the same thing.
Okay.
Lots of sexy words out there you hear about and on podcasts like the All In podcast, but effectively they all do the same thing in slightly different variations. And effectively, what that is they raise money from other people, usually wealthy people, right? They have some cases they have a ton of money on their own. They can do it on their own.
Okay.
And they'll invest, but they're investing in private companies, or they're investing in assets that they think they can get a percentage of and take public, or take and sell and turn around.
Okay.
But that's usually structured in a management fee and a percentage of the gains.
Percentage of profits, right.
Right.
And I think the standard percentages, we looked it up before the show, or I did, it was 2 and 20.
Yeah.
So 2% management fee, 20% on the profits.
So not too dissimilar from real estate syndicators, like a Grant Cardone who's out there taking this fee and that fee, or like a real estate property manager takes 3 to 5% for managing a property, but then also has some upside in here and there on certain parts of the deal.
And
but
sometimes they get like sweat equity.
Correct.
Right.
Which winds up being 5, 10, 15% of the equity of the deal without having put any cash into the game. Private equity is not very dissimilar. As you start to get over the sensationalized uniqueness of this language,
yeah,
you recognize everybody in the business of money. They have a balance, and the balance is really simple. Am I going to charge you more and take on more risk, or am I going to charge you less and take on less risk?
Right.
For a safer investment. Banks typically make more safe investments, so you typically get the best rates from banks.
Right.
Private money lenders or hard money lenders typically do things that banks are not willing to do or can't do from a regulatory perspective that are riskier, so they generally charge you a lot more. And certain hard money lenders will say, I'm just going to give you a big high-ass rate, and you got to pay those higher payments. And some of them will want some skin in the game, some equity deal, because they're trying to model like a private equity model.
Right.
Right? There's all sorts of different ways to do this, and this is where that creative financing space gets really romanticized on social media.
So how do they typically then get in and take control of a company?
Oh, yeah. So when private equity does this, they usually want board seats. They want direct control and involvement in the management decisions, and they want a say.
Yeah.
And sometimes they want a pretty significant position of power to make those decisions.
Right.
And sometimes it's like, we're in the driver's seat. We're going to get your company where we want it to go. You're an operator of our business now, effectively.
Right, because when I'm thinking about it, or the ones that I've heard about and read about, it doesn't really seem like they care much about the success of the company long term. For them, it's more about turning it for a profit.
100%, and that's why a lot of companies are really hesitant to turn to private equity. Now, there are always good use cases and bad use cases, and people that are great in the business, people who are not so great. But private equity has certainly been labeled a demon in a lot of instances for doing exactly that, right?
Yeah.
My job is to get you across the finish line to where I can take this investment and liquidate it,
Yeah.
and make a huge profit for my limited partnership investors.
Right.
And, of course, themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Plus, they're making their 2% management fee along the way.
Right. And so right now, during this time, while banks are, pulling back and waiting to see what the Fed does and if they're going to officially stop raising rates come June, because we know that right now this isn't a credit crunch. Banks are not holding back and not lending because of that. Right now, they're just holding back because they want to see what the Fed does, right? If banks continue to stop lending or hold back after the fact, then you can consider that, them tightening up their guidelines or whatever. So what we're starting to see is private equity based on this Reuters article. They're starting to step in and lend as U.S. banks start to pull back.
So, solid segue. I see you went a little long on the winded path, but you got there.
Had to set it up properly.
So I got a couple bridges to cross with this. So this article, unbeknownst to you when you posted it here, private equity steps up as lending in the U.S. banks pulls back is not necessarily the way the article from Reuters here describes it. Okay,
I have it here too. I put down the first.
I don't read any articles you post. You'll have to talk to me about it.
Yeah, so here you go. The turmoil facing U.S. regional banks has prompted some lenders to step back, leaving space for investors such as asset managers, private equity funds, and insurers to lend more. Non-bank lenders with deep pockets have invested in credit assets for years, but the regional banking crisis could supercharge their expansion into areas such as providing consumer car loans and mortgages or financing the construction of buildings, according to industry executives.
So the way private equity works is they do capital raises, and they typically have to close the raise and invest those assets before they can move on to the next capital raise.
Got it.
And their life cycle depends on this continued growth.
Yes.
So for them, they need to deploy this capital. So people are like, well, Chris, why are they buying now? Why are they so aggressive getting out there? Number one, they're going to get paid more because they have a bigger equity stake, and they're getting a management fee.
They could probably charge more.
And they likely will charge, well, they will charge more from the company, not from the limited partnerships. Right? So their job is to give them a return on investment. And what they will do is they'll try to put their money out and deploy that capital, even though the market is what it is right now.
Wow.
So a lot of people that I saw private equity deals. If you got into a deal to buy a bank as a private equity firm in the last couple of months or a year, that deal can't be as sexy on paper return wise as you once thought it was. Why would you push forward and close that deal?
Okay.
Because you want to close that round, get in the works so you can raise another round of capital and go into another investment because you're still making money.
Absolutely. So
you're just going to make less money for that window of time, and the faster your cadence at sourcing and finding deals is, the more money you can make up by having volume now.
So the type of loans that they're doing, I mean, are they private equity? They don't typically hold loans to maturity, then, right?
Well, they're not generally loaning money; they're investing money.
Right. So what they're doing now by stepping in and potentially doing some car loans and mortgages, I mean,
they're investing in the businesses that'll be providing them.
Right.
Because they want their out from it.
And that's a scary thought to think about because, just like hard money lending.
It props the things up for a little while.
Yeah, just for a little while.
And then when it goes south, it's not so good.
Yeah, they're going to pay attention come knocking.
So I would say Chamath and some of the guys from the All In podcast have really done a huge pullback from taking companies public vis-a-vis SPACs. I think Chamath returned some money.
What are SPACs? What's the acronym stand for again?
Look up the acronym. I don't have the acronym down by heart, but basically it's a very new and interesting way of taking, well, I shouldn't say new. It's a new way of taking companies public that has been grown in recent years that traditionally, I don't know, you look this up, it's SPAC. There you go, yeah. Special Purpose Acquisition Company, there you go.
Right.
So in the last year and a half, I saw more SPACs taking companies public than I'd ever seen before. It's very untraditional. So a shell company formed to raise capital to acquire an existing company, which stands for Special Purpose Acquisition Company. So they create this
like a syndication.
Yeah. So scroll down a little bit. I want to read this. See if this has the actual functionality here. Also known as blank check companies, SPACs have existed for decades, but their popularity has soared in recent years. In 2020, 247 SPACs were created with $80 billion invested. In 2021, there was a record 613 SPACs, IPOs. By comparison, only 59 SPACs came to market in 2019. So you can see there was a dramatic increase over the course of the last several years. And right now, that whole space is effectively dead.
Right.
You're not going to take a company public this way unless it's something sexy. So, and even then, so at the IPO, SPACs do not have business operations or stated targets for acquisitions. So basically, they raise capital, take them public, then bring your company into it, and all of a sudden, you're a publicly traded company.
Yeah.
It's really like a back door.
Yeah.
I thought you would like that.
Yeah. Nope.
You don't like the backdoor way?
I don't like.
He loved it, dude. He gave you a head nod.
He did give me a head nod.
No.
You know we're on video now, right?
I know.
People can see this.
The head nod is to acknowledge I saw what you did there.
Yeah.
SPAC
shares are structured as trust units with a par value of $10 per share. Investors in SPACs range from prominent private equity funds, shocker, and celebrities to the general public. SPACs have 2 years to complete an acquisition or they must return funding to investors. And that's why Chamath returned his funding to investors when he didn't find a company to take public in his SPAC.
Very honorable. They usually use the celebrities just as a face, right?
I mean, you can. It just gets more attention to what you're doing. So if you're trying to take a company public and having a celebrity as a component like that,
right?
I mean, if I'm being honest, it's kind of a douchey way of doing things.
Right.
You know, look, I understand if you're like an older retired celebrity and you're using the last of your cachet to sell Propecia or something like that. Like, good for you.
Propecia. That was the first product that came to mind. Tell me what's really going on, dude.
We can't all have a thick head of locks like you do.
Of all the products.
So, at the investor conference that I was at,
yeah,
I looked on everybody's significantly older than me in the room, and I get it. I'm young to do what I do, but I thought to myself, like, how pissed off must they be that I'm here, and I'm a vocal asshole. Like, cause not because I'm trying to be mean, but because I'm trying to push the alternative view to see what people. Because I understand.
So what was the seminar about?
It was a chief credit officer symposium, right?
Okay.
And a lot of the chief credit officers' banks will go to these things and they'll talk about what their experience was. And honestly, they were so optimistic and like positive that I was seething. I'm in my chair going, God damn it. Just don't do it, Chris. Don't do it. And I just popped off.
Positive.
And here I am with a dude with the glorified mullet, and I'm sitting in the room and I got tennis shoes on and I'm clearly dressed differently. And I get why. They're looking at their portfolio saying, we are not experiencing credit defaults.
Right.
Loans aren't going bad for us right now.
Yeah.
So they're like, we might have a softie, the soft recession.
Yeah.
And as soon as that guy said that, my mind, I was like,
no, we're not doing this.
I was like, God damn it. I got to be an asshole again.
Yeah.
I got to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like biting my knuckle going like, please don't do it, Chris.
Yeah.
And then I did it.
What'd you say?
And I'm like, so you guys talking about
soft landings, hard landings, no landings?
I'm like, this doesn't concern you?
Yeah.
And in my head, all I saw was a bunch of heads down in the sand like ostriches. It's just like, like, just,
yeah.
And I get it because this goes to kind of what we were talking about on the show where this is not a credit tightening cycle yet because there haven't been credit defaults.
Okay.
So people aren't saying, you know what, we're going to narrow our box and we're going to only focus on these really, really similar high quality credit deals. We're going to tailor our program down to really get less volume in. They're just saying, look, we're not going to deploy as much money right now because it's just more valuable by us not doing that and having more money on our balance sheet.
Right.
So from their perspective, this is not a credit issue. They're like, we're really optimistic. We're really good. And the room was positive, and I'm just such a negative asshole that I was like, this is not good.
Well, Jamie Dimon just recently came out and said the easiest way for a bank to retain capital is just to not make the loan. But
which is what they're doing.
Exactly, was what they're doing.
Including them.
But clearly they're not listening to him because based on this CNBC article, Jamie Dimon warns soaring commercial real estate loans could threaten some banks.
Well,
so I want to get your take on this.
I think this is over sensationalized.
Really? So if
I don't think it's as bad as the market perceives it to be.
So
office space, yeah, problem.
Right. So with what's going on in the office space, right, commercial office space, and we're seeing all of these outrageous like vacancy numbers, which are like, okay, this is not sustainable for whoever owns this building long term, right? So at some point in time, they're gonna have to get this resolved.
Yeah.
I mean, how much can they withstand? How long can they withstand? they're vacant and people are letting go of their leases or they're not able to lease up those units. That's my fear, is what happens with all these commercial real estate loans.
I don't know that there's an immediate threat. I mean, keep in mind, too, that every couple of decades, there's a bit of a renaissance in how we as humans shop.
Yeah.
Right? Amazon was supposed to shut down retail.
Mm-hmm.
It did certainly impact the market.
Right.
But I think we saw a pivot. Anchor tenants that were high traffic walk-through tenants, your Costco's, your Targets, those became really, really important.
Yeah.
Because people go there a lot, so now you want to build retail around it because the foot traffic will bring sales there.
Right.
I know that office is...
But if we're thinking about San Francisco's
got a whole different situation.
That's my thing, right? So we know a lot of companies out there are shrinking their office space.
They need Batman.
Yeah. They need to shine up the
Dave
light.
Chappelle said that. That wasn't me. Dave Chappelle said that.
Did he really say that about San Francisco?
He was like, y'all need Batman.
It's about
He's like, what happened to y'all? Yeah, it was whole, he apparently did like a surprise pop-up act.
Yeah.
Or did a show in San Francisco, and he was just spent the entire 40 minutes just tearing San Francisco a new asshole. Let's talk about what happened to you people.
Which reminds me, I have to talk to you about after the show because my wife and I are going to go up there. I want to get
to San Francisco?
Yeah, a restaurant recommendation in July, so we got some time.
Oh man, there's a lot of great restaurants there.
Yeah.
There is if you're willing to drive outside the city a little bit.
Yeah.
Some of the best Michelin star restaurants in the world are there.
No kidding.
Yeah. There's one in particular which is, I want to say it's closer to Hillsborough, but nice, very nice.
Okay.
It's a whole culinary experience.
All right.
Yeah, but you won't leave hungry. You'll want to get like Thai food afterward. Yeah.
You'll leave hungry?
Yeah, you're gonna leave hungry. Yeah, you're not gonna leave satiated.
No, I'm not doing that.
That's how like those that's how fine dining is, right?
Oh man.
This is a creme brulee of.
You went to dessert right away.
Huh?
Creme brulee. That's
So we went.
Everything's bite-sized at these Michelin star.
They really are. Like, I'm not like the bad person. They're an experience.
Okay.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. Like, it's aesthetically very pleasing, and there's a whole story, and there's all sorts of smoke and garnish.
For me, it's not.
But then, like, I mean, if you order a steak, you're getting 2 1-ounce pieces of steak.
Come on, man.
And you're gonna pay like $1,200 a pop too.
What?
It's ridiculous. I mean, I'm telling you. Like, and then it's always like a prefix like meal. You're not gonna be able to order whatever you want. I mean, you're going for the experience.
That sounds like a terrible experience.
There's a restaurant up there. I forgot what it's called, but it's like a 38-course meal, but each one is literally a spoon.
38-course meal?
Have you ever been yourself?
No.
Wait,
I had friends go.
That doesn't
There's
sound...
so many lies there. I don't even know how to unpack that. Number one, we don't believe you have friends. Number two, 38 is very specific for you to not recall never going.
Why would you... Hold on.
What?
Why you... That's so mean of you to say. He's got friends.
Go ahead, take the shot now. I'll let you do it. Go ahead, do it.
Stop being the villain.
Go ahead, do it.
Sarah Eunice is my friend.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Great friend.
I do not recall who that is.
Yeah. Okay. So, but that sounds like a terrible experience. Like, 1 spoon? What if I like that spoon? Give me another one.
No, I mean, yeah, it's not. It's a thing.
Yeah. No, not for me, Chief.
Like,
okay, so the office space in San Francisco before we get sidetracked, right?
San Francisco's different though. It's an anomaly, man.
I've seen the popular hybrid model that's getting adopted by a lot of companies, not ours, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday they're being forced to come into the office, and Monday, Fridays they're hybrid working from home.
Okay, so what's wrong with that?
So they're able to shrink their office space by doing so, and now these, huge commercial property buildings are remaining that much more vacant. No signs of people coming back.
Okay, so a couple different options.
Okay.
One of them is very hard. You work with the municipalities and you rezone some of these for residential.
And we are seeing some of that.
But it's very hard to do.
I think it's happening in Miami.
Yeah, Miami's got a whole housing. Miami's housing boom right now has got to be unprecedented. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Right.
The amount of high-end multifamily construction there and conversions that are taking place reminds me a lot of San Diego when the condo conversion crisis hit. I talked to he was a kid, younger than me. When he told me what year he graduated, I almost shit myself because I realized I'd already gotten through like law school, and I'm like, damn, I'm that much older than you are. But he's a brilliant kid, and I have a lot of respect for his ideas. He said to me, I did not prompt him, and you know how much he's like, I think we're headed for a double dip recession.
Double dip.
And he was painting this picture like it's '08 all over again. He's like, I've spent tons of time studying this. Like this, I see the same things. It's the same rosy optimism, but all the warning signs are there.
Right.
And I'm like, son, is that you?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. And look, I see some of this stuff, and I think to myself, okay, like San Francisco sounds a lot like Michigan and Detroit. Motor City. When the vehicle manufacturers pulled out, they had to find a way to re-identify themselves. A lot of tech is pulled out of San Francisco.
Yeah.
The state and its politics, one problem. The tech sector's impact, another problem. Work from home, yet another problem. How will they reconcile that? I don't know that they have an answer.
And I know, but if they can get some of these properties rezoned and ultimately put that many more units online, I mean, that would help the overall shelter component.
But is more density in a big city like that of people going to help or make it worse? They already have a massive homeless population. They're not moving into high-rise condos,
right.
Multifamily. They're not moving into that. So, look, there's a whole lot there to unpack. But I do think that San Francisco is an extreme.
Mm-hmm.
You look across the country, office space will be stressed. And to Mr. Dimon's point, a lot of this stuff has a real low duration, like 3 years, and that loan will come due.
Right.
That loan will pay off, or they'll refinance. Traditionally speaking, investors in real estate, they refinanced every couple of years, or they sold the property and went to a different type of property. They sold the property, they usually 1031 exchange, a tax-deferred exchange into another property, usually bigger,
right,
or make them better money, or be somewhere else, or a different sector that was still an investment property. But I think what we're going to see of now is way, way less cash-out refinance, which is the other type of investment you typically saw from a loan perspective, is a lot of these investors would pull some cash out, improve the property, and raise rents.
Right.
I think at best you're going to see rate and term refinances, no cash out.
I would hope so.
Maybe some cash in.
But in order for them to even qualify for that rate and term refinance right now, at this Fed funds rate of 5.25, they're going to have to probably bring some cash in. It's not going to qualify the same.
Erwin, that was a good article you just found, except the little window popped up. Can you? Thank you, sir. All right, sublease space as percentage of total office inventory. Fourth quarter of 2019, San Francisco, 2.8%. First quarter of 2023, 7.2%. So if you have a lease, in a commercial lease, like an office space, you are generally allowed to sublease the space to somebody else.
Right.
And that'll generally help you pay for your obligations, but you were still on the hook as the original lessor.
Right. Generally, they don't allow this for your apartment building or your right.
So for residential properties, this is rarely allowed. San Francisco, 2.8% to what the hell? To 7.2%. Arun's moving stuff around and mess with me. This is why y'all make me sound stupid on the show.
Yeah, it's
you guys planned this.
It's intentional.
I thought you were reading the quote on the bottom. It literally said San Francisco. I was trying to scroll down for you because the mic's in the way.
So you're not paying attention to the show. Ooh. That's awkward.
Should we talk about his editing mistake too?
No. I think he did it on purpose. I think he was like, look, if I fuck this up just enough, they'll never ask me to edit anything again.
That's not true, though. I'm going to double down on that pressure.
You're going to double down on the because we know the easiest way for him to learn is to just do it all over again.
I have no problem doing it again. I have the fucking fuck me.
Yeah. That instills a lot of confidence,
I tried so hard.
I tried so hard and got so far. Anyway, so Phoenix was 1.2% fourth quarter of 2019. Now, first quarter of 2023, 5.7%. So they've actually gone 5x, whereas I think you got 3x in San Francisco. So by overall metrics, Phoenix looks like a worse growth curve. Seattle, 1.9% in fourth quarter 2019. In first quarter of 2023, they were 4.5%. So similar trends by far and away. San Francisco has always been higher to start with, but has gotten a significantly higher subleasing space. And look, it's a trend in the market. This article is from the San Francisco Standard. Never heard of them, but sure.
Yeah.
Titled, "These companies are trying to shed massive amounts of San Francisco office space."
The fear, though, also is that we know that with the Fed rate increases that we've experienced so far, I believe 10 rate increases has really impacted small businesses. So small businesses, I believe, is considered employees. I mean, there's one from 1 to 9 employees, and then anything under 250 employees as well.
Oh, you mean just like the general definition of a small business?
Yeah.
I look at small businesses not on the employee count. I know that's one way of looking at them. I look at them on revenue.
Right.
And for me, it's as simple as this. A company with top line earnings, revenue of $1 million and less is a small business. And anything above that, to me, is a big business.
Okay.
And that is not like a technical definition. There are some reasons why a bank would want to look at that way and from a regulatory perspective, but
Are you talking about gross revenue?
gross.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're making less than $1 million a year, in my mind. So Arun pulled this up from the census. It defines small businesses by firm revenue ranging from $1 million to over $40 million, and by employment from 100 to over 1,500 employees. For example, according to the SBA definition, a roofing contractor is defined as a small business if it has annual revenues of 16.5 million or less. And see, like, you can break it down by sector and compare like how big is a business in a sector like that, like a roofing contractor. That's way more complicated than I think that anybody needs to look at it.
Right.
If you're running a business and you're making $1 million in top line revenue or less,
Right.
you're generally a small business.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, you're generally more appealable to banks because they have to deploy their money to small businesses like you with top line gross income of $1 million and less.
For some of these companies that have been experiencing some vacancies in some of these commercial real estate properties, my fear is, how many of them are not hybrid employees anymore, and how many of them are actually been laid off? Because we know now that U.S. companies with between 1 and 9 employees laid off or fired 341,000 workers in March, more than twice as many in February, according to
JOLTS, which is the favorite employment spectrum kind of like metrics, targets, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
For the FOMC.
Right. So we know with the Fed rate increases, it really impacts these businesses. We've talked about it on previous shows that a lot of them carry these lines of credit to help them with working capital, right? And these rates on these lines of credits they're more than double.
Index plus margin-based pricing, right? So they had an index, and the margin was generally 2 or 3 or whatever over the index, and that index has gone up.
A year ago, their interest rate on that line of credit was around 5.5. Now they're looking at 10.5%.
Yes, some of them.
Right. So
I've seen lines of credit as high as 8.5%, 9%. That just several years ago were closer to 4%, and people are really, really upset by it. And it's like nothing changed, guys. Like this is the same line of credit you had before. But when pricing was lower, you loved it.
Right.
And now that it's gone up, which we always knew was a possibility, you're really mad that it went up. And that's normal.
Right.
That happens.
Exactly.
You just haven't experienced it in 14 years.
Exactly. And for smaller companies, it's not as easy for them to raise capital, right? For bigger companies like Meta, I believe they just issued another round of bonds, right? They were able to raise $8.5 billion in capital that way. Whereas, smaller companies, they can't do that.
Which begs the question, why does Meta need bonds?
Yeah.
Like, y'all got enough money.
After another round of layoffs.
I know. Just seems...
I think they're going through it again this week.
Yeah, probably are. Is that the rumor from inside?
No, I think it's public.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Almost as public as former Fed Chair Ben Bernanke saying there's more work ahead to control inflation.
Like, listen, man,
why you got to poo-poo on everything, bro?
Yeah, dude, you should just...
You're retired.
You're retired. I mean, you're a laureate now, right?
Yeah. Just wear your green jacket. Go hang out with Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
Like, go be a laureate.
Yeah. Why are you making Powell's job that much harder? Like, leave him alone.
I think he doesn't like him. I think he's like, how's that 2-3% target taste there, pal?
Yeah. In my day, it was much more difficult.
Yeah. I'm going to give you some highlight reels here. Former Fed Reserve Chair Ben Bernanke thinks central bankers still have work to do to tame inflation. Says a lot without saying anything. A paper from Bernanke and economist Oliver Blanchard notes that inflation has evolved since ballooning to a 40-year high in the summer of 2022. I mean, he's saying a lot without saying, what the fuck does evolve mean? Okay, they still have work to do. Yeah.
Yeah, no shit.
Thank you.
Right.
It's evolved. What is it, a fucking... like Tamagotchi pet or like a fucking Pokemon or some shit? Like what?
Oh yeah, well we know. I believe so. Actually, it's worth noting. The day this episode drops. What date is it? This episode is gonna drop Friday. No. We have an episode dropping this Friday. We actually recorded an early one. This Friday, Core PCE comes out. And the last 4 prints were 4.6%. 4.7%, 4.7%, and 4.6% in March. So that's pretty sticky. We know that that's the Fed's preferred gauge to measure inflation. So we'll see what comes out, and if there's still a lot more work to do.
It's not gonna be a good print.
Not good enough.
I'll tell you right now, it's not gonna be a good print.
And remember, anything above 4% is still double the Fed's target rate.
I do want to read this one last quote from this article because I know Arun has a tendency to wander that mouse around and click away from stuff.
He likes to wander a little.
He
huh?
does wander a little bit with the mouse. And look, there he is, bobbing it up and down.
Look at Bernanke.
Bernanke's got his hand up in the air. Hey.
Yeah.
He looks like he's doing some kind of Afghan dance. In a discussion about the paper, economist Jason Furman noted that fiscal policy played a large role in boosting inflation, but the less forgivable sin, though, was monetary policy.
Damn, that's wow. Jerome Powell. He took a shot at Jerome Powell right there.
Called him out.
He said, "This is your fault, dude."
Jerome, fiscal policy played a little bit of a role, but the less forgivable sin was what you did.
Yeah, you personally.
You did this.
Yeah.
You
And
as the-
Kashkari.
and Neil.
Neil.
Can we just call him Neil from now on?
You know, no, man, come on, Cash, straight Cash, homie.
No, I don't want to give him nicknames anymore. I want to strip him of his nicknames. I'm
do
very upset with
do
him.
you know where
He's been very cavalier in the
do you
press
know-
lately.
Do you know where
Him and Bullard out here just throwing bullets.
Do you know where the quote "straight Cash, homie" comes from?
Why would I know that?
I don't know. I'm just asking. Do you know?
I have no idea.
So there, was, Randy Moss caught this touchdown.
Sports
Okay.
reference. How am I going
Oh, do you know this?
No, I don't.
Okay, so Randy Moss caught this touchdown, and in his celebration,
Oh,
Dude.
don't bring Neil up, man.
Kashkari looks like
Yahoo
you
Finance in the
clean
background.
shaving and just accepting the.
Bro, he got a double chin. Don't do that to me. You see that second chin underneath his first chin? That's a double chin. See the line below his chin and the line right above his Adam's apple?
I don't feel like I'm.
That is what we like to call the Arun smile.
I don't feel like I'm in a place to comment on his physique.
I'm in a place to comment about his physique. Although he does look young and shit with the bald thing going on there.
He's nice and fit.
It's like a Bezos vibe.
He's trying to be. He's a poor man's Bezos.
He's trying to be a poor man's Bezos. That's what
Yeah.
it is.
He ain't Bezos.
He got engaged to Lauren Sanchez finally.
I saw that.
Yeah, that's what happens when I fly too much. I'm like, oh, he got engaged. Good for him. I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
Very conflicted about it.
So, anyways, Randy Moss catches this touchdown pass in his celebration. He turns to the crowd and he pretends to moon them. Gets fined by the league, right?
Why do you know? You know how much wasted space you have with sports shit like this?
Yeah, this is hilarious though.
This is not.
Reporter asked him after he gets fined, "How are you gonna pay for this fine?" And he says, "Straight cash, homie." Just like that. That's where it comes from.
Arun, can you do me a favor and remind me the next time he starts telling stories just to stop him midstream because it never sells?
What about his quotes?
Dude, yeah, your quotes are suspect sometimes,
My
man.
quotes, people, I got love on that poem.
From one person from Canada.
Yeah, they never.
Come on, man.
That never
and
got
they never
posted.
actually posted. For all I know, that wasn't real. That was just you playing around with emails.
I had another one.
What? Another Canadian one comes through.
No, I have another poem. I had another poem.
You don't read it.
I'll share it.
Don't do that.
I'll say it for another
Let's
day.
take a vote. Arun, do you want to hear another poem?
If you
You
like,
son of a bitch.
if you like,
I hope you enjoy re-editing that show.
if you like Said's poems, please go ahead and leave us a review, and I'll make sure to bring another one on at the end of every episode.
Only if it's a limerick.
Okay.
You know what a limerick is?
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Come on. Who doesn't know what a limerick is?
Arun, what's a limerick?
Googling it now.
By the way, Apple, 189 reviews. Shout out to our Apple listeners. We're still missing quite a few there.
Mm-hmm.
Spotify also, that ticked up. And YouTube. People are starting to realize that we're on YouTube.
Yeah, I know. People are like, wow, they really suck.
Wow, so
I
they
can watch them suck.
They finally actually did it. Even
I feel like today's drop, the 23rd today,
Mhm.
today's drop was the best video quality, although Saied really didn't like it,
I didn't like it.
that we put out. Just the color difference was largely worked out.
I thought previous episodes had better lighting, but the camera was still fuzzy before. The camera wasn't as fuzzy on this one, but the lighting was too
But you
bright.
do realize with lighting like this, I can take the shadows out. I can change the colors. Whereas lighting with that, you just kind of get what you get, and I can't really edit it that much.
Yeah.
I can't add more brightness to it, but I can take it away.
I like the cigar lounge vibe more. It was a little too much.
You don't like your wrinkles being front and center on the screen?
I'm fine with my wrinkles. I'm accepting. Although I'll say this little mark right here really bothers me. This sunspot.
Let me see.
Yeah, sunspot right here.
Oh, I never noticed before.
Yeah, Hawaz got me on a skincare routine plan.
That's a lie. I noticed it. Why don't you use that
That's a lie.
ad?
That's so fucked. Now
Bro,
you
I
know
got, I got this thing
now
too.
I'm
Like, come on.
subconscious about it.
I got that scar above my forehead every time I like this. People are like, what?
Dude, so my wife sets me up on this skincare routine. Okay, I love you, sweetheart, for caring enough about me.
Comma, but
This shit takes a long time before bed.
yeah, I do it every night, man.
Every night.
every morning.
There's a 5-step process,
Yeah, bro.
and then you have. This is the part that bothers
You
me
got
about
good skin. Shut up. Enjoy it.
it. This is the part that bothers me the most about it.
What?
You have to sit and wait like a minute or two in between to let it like dry before you apply the next one.
Yeah, because if you do, it gets slimy. It doesn't work really well. It doesn't set. Yeah.
I mean,
Dude, I've had like that.
2023. We can't just figure out one lotion to put and it works for everything. Come on. What's going on?
Dude, self-care should be this like I got a shiny buff today. My nails, shiny buff. My toes too.
Your toes? I mean, I get the hand stuff.
You know what? Hold up.
No, stop it.
No, shut up. Take that in, everybody. Got a shiny buff. I got off a plane today. Normally this bad boy be
No.
swollen. Take that in.
Come on, man.
There are listeners out there who beg to see feet, bro. Don't judge people. You out here? Go ahead. Here, get that in the shot. There you go. Get that in. There are people out there who got like foot fetishes. You got to play into them too. Give them what they want. I'll leave this up here for y'all to watch.
Yeah.
The toes.
Oh, we've officially went off the rails. Chris is tired.
We didn't go. I am exhausted. But yeah, man, shiny buff. It was a very nice little thing.
That was what you got. That was your treat from coming back from New York. So tell me anything you want to share from New York.
Was that your choice or the wife's?
No, my wife was there. I wanted to spend today with my wife, so that's what I did. But
honestly, I mean, you know what that means, right? Joe saw your feet. And she's like, man, them shits right here. They need some work.
I don't know that she actually saw my feet. I think she was getting her nails done. She's
been married to you for quite some time now. She knows. She knows what.
How often does your partner actually look at your toes?
Come on, man.
How often do you look at your own toes?
What do you mean? Every day?
No, you don't. About? You don't.
Stop it.
I know Arun doesn't look at his feet every day.
Yeah, I do. I wear sandals every single day.
You are not a sandal candidate.
He has to. He had that ingrown problem that he had taken care of.
What?
Jesus.
So hey, if my dirty laundry's getting thrown out here, so it's yours.
You had an ingrown on your foot?
I had 2 ingrown toenails. Yeah.
Ingrown toenails?
Yeah.
God damn.
Actually, pretty common. Like
it's not that common.
Have you had an ingrown toenail?
I've never had an ingrown toenail.
Does anybody you know besides him ever had an ingrown toenail?
Nope, not a single person.
So do they rip your toenail out?
Yeah.
Oh. Why?
To get it to grow again.
Honestly,
which toe was it?
Both of my big toes.
Oh,
both.
Fuck, both.
Wait, I thought it was only one. Wait, that's almost it's to the point where like I would consider just taking off the toe.
You
like,
take off, you just cut it off.
Just say fuck
Yeah,
the toe.
they trimmed it from the sides.
Your toe or your toenail?
Toenails, man.
But no, do they take the whole nail out though?
No,
Wait,
no.
did they numb you?
Yeah.
So you went to like one of those podiatrists that does like the whole. Oh, don't bring it up on screen. I don't want to.
I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
No. We're not sharing that. That's not necessary.
I'm not doing that.
So when you went to a podiatrist, did he say, "Oh my God, your toes are ugly.
Oh my God,
let me fix it"? Or what, how did this come? How did you wind up going there? Did it hurt?
Basically what happened was about a year ago, my wife saw me clipping my toenails and she's like, "Why are you like going into your toe?" I was like, "Oh, just because it hurts." And she's like, "What do you mean it hurts?" And I was like, "The toe like goes in a little bit." She's like, "You have an ingrown toenail." I was like, "Okay." So she scheduled an appointment. I went and saw the doctor, and the doctor was like, "Yeah, you just need to get it cut." And they just cut the toenail. It wasn't anything extreme.
And then that fixes the problem like long term.
Yeah.
Okay, lots of questions here. So
that could happen from wearing like tight shoes, right?
Tight shoes.
So you wore high heels a lot?
Yeah.
Wearing high heels a lot.
What do you call it? Wearing tight shoes, getting your foot stepped on, any incidents playing sports, which yeah, Chris, I don't play sports.
He's walking.
Bro, you threw out a bunch.
He's walking right into this.
The most probable one you threw out was the high heels, man. People stepping on your toes a lot.
That didn't
playing
happen.
Sports.
That didn't happen.
Bro, I've seen your ankles. Ain't nobody can get your toes to those things.
Man.
Wow. Okay. Well, shit. I'm sorry to hear that. So you had to wear sandals for like a couple weeks afterwards? That was going
on? Literally, they said 4 days, but I've always worn sandals. Like, Saied knows this. I won't say he'd hate me wearing flip-flops.
I honestly, I can't do the whole flip-flop thing.
If you wear flip-flops with pants, like, I don't like you.
Honestly.
That's a little rule I live by. Like, flip-flops and like any type of pants.
Oh, my God. You wear it with jeans?
Joggers?
Joggers, I could probably get okay with. But, like, if you're wearing like flip flops and jeans or flip flops and khakis,
Yeah. Well, his joggers are khakis. Like these.
He's debating.
yeah, yeah. I wear sweats whenever I do the show. Like I'm not taking it down. But what I'll say is like look like. I feel like if you're wearing like Havaiana, like flip flops, like true ones like that, or like the leather equivalent that people wear all the time, the rainbows, whatever those are, yeah.
The rainbows, that's what he's got.
Yeah, you should be wearing shorts. And if it's not short weather, you shouldn't be wearing flip flops.
Right. Unpopular opinion here.
Okay.
I can't stand rainbows or the sandals that come in between the toes. Hell no.
I don't mind Havaianas.
Slides only.
Rainbows bother me.
Slides only.
No, slide. Look, first of all, you did not play in the NBA.
No,
Okay,
what?
You need to give up the aesthetic.
What do you mean?
Like you did.
No.
I know you think that your feet have to be rested in slides because you
Listen,
like athletic.
I have
you
to
know.
Slides with socks. That's Said's rule.
Slides with socks. There you go. I'm not showing. Listen,
That's actually come back in recent years. I'll give you that
the
one.
only person that I don't wear socks around is my wife. I feel too like I can't just have my toes out for everybody. That's weird. That's another level of
So do you
confidence.
have like a toe fetish then?
No, that's just another level
Look,
of
I'm not gonna
confidence.
judge you if you do. Like I'll respect you. Like if you like your toes sucked on.
No, you're wildly confident if you could just show your toes to everybody.
Let me ask you a question. If somebody licked your feet, would you say something? Like, would you like?
No,
would
when
you be okay with that?
when I get massages, I tell them you please no nothing on because I'm like super ticklish.
You would like it if somebody licked your feet. Like
No,
you're
no.
you're a low toe guy, huh?
No,
That's what's
never,
going on right now.
Never. What?
Well, if they're that sensitive, bro.
No, it makes me laugh, bro.
Have you ever had a pedicure before?
No.
Yeah, I know what's going on.
Manicure,
here.
yes, though.
Why not a pedicure?
Because I will start laughing. I
It's
don't
too
want.
erogenous for you.
I don't
right?
want to giggle like a little schoolgirl.
It's too erogenous for you. I get it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, look, I know what's going on here.
Listen, don't.
I know exactly what your Pornhub cue is.
Don't flip this around on me after you got your mani pedi today.
I'm very open with my sexuality when it comes to stuff. I don't care.
I didn't say who made it a sexuality thing.
You did.
I did not say. I said you're confident.
You said you can't even have a woman massage your feet without you giggling.
I did not say a woman. I said man or woman.
Okay, whatever. It's good for you. I'm not judging. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, you got hypersensitive toes.
A hypersensitive feet.
You ever been to like a foreign country where they do like foot massage? Like I went to Thailand, got foot
No.
massage all the time.
No, I did not.
Really? You're missing out on life, bro. It's so good.
No, I mean I can do the back massages. I love the back massages.
I used to go once a week when I was playing a lot of sports and like training a lot.
Like-
I'd go once a week and get like one of the Asian style like hard like foot massages, really dig into your feet.
I mean, your feet need special care, man. They're putting up a lot.
It's either that or have whatever he's got going on in there going on your toes. Like you don't want that. That's my other reason for not wearing sandals. By the way, I think that beats up your toes pretty bad.
Yeah,
Beats up your feet pretty bad. You get all nasty.
yeah.
Welcome to Higher Standard, kids, where we talk to you about your economic financial literacy needs and your toes.
Yeah. Anything else? Anything else from New York is worth sharing?
Let's do some highlight reel stuff. So I went to the Centurion new like dinner place there.
New Centurion
They have, like,
dinner
so
place.
at one Vanderbilt they have at the Centurion, black card members can get up there and they have like a restaurant thing.
Okay.
Beautiful view. 55th floor of one Vanderbilt. Beautiful view. Food, drinks, overpriced. Meh.
Yeah. What'd you get? Steak?
I ordered like a bunch of stuff. Steak, tried a bunch of different things, but it's all, very small meals. And yes, I did have Thai food afterward at like 1 o'clock in the morning. My sleeping pattern is all jacked up. I love New York, man. It's a beautiful place to be, but I didn't get my favorite part of the city is Chelsea.
Okay.
And I didn't get a chance to get down there. I wanted to see. Daniel Allen Cohen was actually there, and I wanted to see him. He was actually at the New York Stock Exchange, and he was in town for some art because he's the guy who does the art for studio and everything else. But
yeah,
and I was going to try to link up with him, and then I had to reschedule things to get home a little earlier because I want to spend some time with the family. And then I have to go to Honolulu tomorrow, and then Honolulu to Maui, and then Maui back home on Saturday. So I didn't get to see him. I'm kind of upset about it. And he left me on red, so I think he's not very happy about it. Listen, Daniel, I love you, bro. It's not personal.
For a not vacation trip.
None of it's vacation. Yeah, it'll all be work.
It'll be work.
Despite the fact that everybody's like, "Oh, you're going to Hawaii? Like, have a great time, aloha." And you're like, "No, dude, it's work." They're like,
Aloha.
"Yeah, I know. It's got to be so hard." And you're like, "No, it's real work, man." They're like, "No, come on."
Yeah, on Hawaiian time though. That's a real
See,
thing.
don't do that.
That's a real thing.
It's a different culture.
Yeah.
There's a New York time.
Yeah. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it.
Yes, you are.
No,
Yes, you are. It's the one place that ruin and his toes can feel free. Be out there with sandals on. Very appropriate out there. So, sandals and a Hawaiian shirt, you can pull it off there.
Yeah, they find it almost disrespectful if you come in there with like a suit.
Yeah, I think that's changing a little bit.
Think so?
I think it's changing a little bit. But yeah, I'm exhausted and I'm out of good stuff for tonight. So we'll cut the show off here. And, you know,
We hope to see you on the next episode.
very Dr. Dre outro, but I'll take it.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.